Hey,
Hello.
viewers. Hi, Frank. How are you doing?
Pretty good. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to see you. And how is everyone who's watching us? I hope you're doing well this wonderful day. I know many people around the world are celebrating Easter. I wish you a happy Easter. Frank, is it where you are the same? Uh, are you celebrating, or what is happening
Well,
around?
yes, we just got back from Good Friday church, and we'll be celebrating Easter on Sunday. So,
Wonderful.
and I've always found Easter to be an amazing holiday because there's 35 possibilities of dates that it can fall on, and it's a period of time when the weather is quite variable.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had snowy Easters, March 29th, 1970, and then 49 years ago today was Easter, and it was 94 degrees in my area.
Oh,
So we've had lots of interesting weather at Easter time. That's one of the things I memorize and part of what I that happens every day, the
wow.
weather.
Wow, the weather you remember every day. Now,
Yeah.
to everyone who's watching us here for the first time, or those who've not been seeing us for some time and now you're seeing it again, let me remind you that this is the Now Tell Us podcast with Anthony Morore, where we bring some interesting guests to tell us stories, to educate us, to inspire us. And today we are blessed to have a wonderful guest with us known as Frank Healy. And can you please maybe introduce yourself for those people who are seeing you for the first time to know who is Frank?
Okay, well I'm Frank, and I am by profession I'm a licensed professional counselor, which is very similar to a psychologist. I counsel people with depression, anxiety, addiction issues, families, couples, and I've written over 20 books on various subjects as healing your past, being happy more often. I've written one on Stoic philosophy and some books on emotional intelligence. And these two things might not seem related, but I'll explain how it comes together.
Mm-hmm.
Since I was not quite 6 years old, I've remembered every day of my life, what day of the week it was, and what the weather was, and personal as well as if there were big news events that day. And the thing that goes along with it is that, in fact, excuse me, I've been studied at the University of California in Irvine, along with about 100 other people, but I was number 12 way back in 2011,
Mm-hmm.
and and it's along with the episodes and the day of the week of each day. I also remember the emotions I felt. And
Wow.
that's how I got into psychology. I thought, now, since I'm not going to forget any of this stuff, it would be nice to at least let go of the emotions from the negative memories, such as bad days at work or school growing up, romantic breakups before I finally met my lovely wife, and just a lot of. So I like to have been able to keep the emotions from the good memories, but let go of the emotions from the bad memories.
Mm-hmm.
So I studied psychology and a lot of self help. And now, although I treat all kinds of people, I especially like treating people with post traumatic stress because
Mm-hmm.
that's people have been through a traumatic episode that still affects them now and see what their beliefs and emotions are that they retain from that thing that happened in their life. So it's so it's really how it came about. And so I've re- so and back in 2007 I wrote a memoir of how I remember each day. Its original title was Living with a Phenomenal Memory, and I put out a revised edition in 2018, Who Could
Mm-hmm.
Forget. It's
Mm-hmm.
all about what it was like living with this memory of every day. And it includes some of the party fun that I've had with people asking me dates, their birthdays, and different things. As well as the second edition includes when I was at the university.
Mm-hmm.
So it's And then I started writing more books. I thought this would be an additional way to help people and as well as entertain them. I did write one novel that came out in 2020, The Unquiet Sea.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and I know it's for all of us in the northern hemisphere, it'll be beach season pretty soon, and the book makes a good beach read. It's about a man who lives at the shore and seems to have it all, but in 1 week he seems like he's going to lose everything,
Mm-hmm.
and how he overcomes it. So yeah, so I've done a lot of written, and one thing, like, despite having these facts and figures going on in my head all the time. I mean, one immediate thing people might think is school must have been really easy for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the answer to that is yes and no. The yes part is that, of course, it was easy to memorize the information,
Mm-hmm.
but the no side was that I'd have so much going on in my head that it was often kind of hard to pay attention to what was going on right in front of me. So I still had to study
Okay.
to do well in school because, and although I'm a very outgoing, sociable person now, it took me a long time growing up to develop socially because you don't exactly develop social skills if someone's talking to you and you're thinking about what else happened on this date in another year. So
Mm-hmm.
it took me a while to develop socially, but was able to do that finally.
Yeah. I wonder, most of us have a hard time remembering what we ate last evening. And
Yeah.
now you tell us that you remember every weather, how it was every single day of your life. I mean, as far as you remember, that's interesting. And as you say, it wasn't. There are sometimes there are some things that you just can't remember because there was so much going on at that time. But I'm wondering, with the experiment that they had with you at the university, what major thing did they come out with? What out of that research, that experiment?
Well, some things they found was that I mean, we're like they found I'm just average at regular memory things. Like
Hmm.
they gave me these faces and names and repeat back what are the names of the people, and I just did average at that. As well as when I introduced the group, first they had me write a large number on a whiteboard, and then
Hmm.
I'd be facing it away from it for about an hour while I answered their questions about dates and stuff.
Hmm.
And then they asked, then at the end, they asked me what was the number. And the only part of it that I remembered was 1964 because since I was born in 1960, I know a few people who were born in 1964.
Hmm.
So, so that was so the memory is more to do with autobiographical than anything else.
Okay.
And they also gave me a CAT scan, and all of us, and they found that parts of our frontal lobes of our brains are where you do your thinking
Hmm.
are almost twice the size of the average person. So there is a biological component with my memory.
Okay. Now, if we may, can we maybe test? I don't see. I know there are people who are watching us, and if you're there and you have a question, you can always post it. We are going to see it. And yeah, one of the questions could be to see how maybe Frank will remember your birthday. Now, what date,
Yeah,
just if you may allow me to ask that, and if you can
sure.
remember it, I don't know. What day must have been 10th October 2018?
October 10th, 2018. That was a Wednesday.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Not a second. You don't take a second. I remember that day very well because something major happened to me. And that's good. You didn't even pause. I mean, that's impressive. Um, and now that we are giving you this we could ask you many questions to remember dates and events that happened. And in your profession as a psychologist, I'm wondering, are there times now, apart from that, are there times that people have maybe given you some assignments apart from that study, assignments to remind them some things that were national event or things like that, and they compensated you in a way or something, like your work is to remember and we're going to pay you for remembering these things? What are there some?
Well, a lot of my remember. Well, nobody's done it that way, but
uh,
people have. So I've make my extra money from the books, but I do have in my personal life a lot of times, even with family, people would
mhm,
say, "Could you remind me to do this?" It's like to do certain things, and I've had people quiz me like, "Okay," so people who I probably weren't going to see for another year or two, but
mhm.
they'd ask me, so I'm going to see if you remember my birthday even a couple years from now, and I always do. So
You remember all the birthdays.
yeah.
Your wife must be a lucky one.
Oh yes. Well,
Le-
she
le-
told me it was interesting. In
Mhm.
October of 2007, my first book had come out, and we
Okay.
started dating at the same time. So
Mhm.
she told me right from the beginning, I am not to remind her of, oh, today's the anniversary, we had a big fight. Not that, but she
Yeah,
certainly expects me to remember her birthday and the whole
definitely.
family's birthday. Sometimes she'll ask me, like, okay, whose birthday in our family, including extended family, is coming up later this month?
Mhm.
So,
I'm imagining that in your school days, as you are going, you remember each and every person's name in class. Maybe.
yes, I still remember
Yeah.
everyone I went to school with, and if they had ever told me their birthday, I remember their birthday.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. Now, is there, uh, and maybe it was included in the study, is there a way that someone can improve? Like those of us who don't forget, don't remember uh, a single thing that happened yesterday, is there a way that we can improve on that?
Well, I think I mean, there's some traditional ways to improve your memory, which involves some imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, most people try and do it rote memory. Like, they'll say the fact over and over again. And that's one way, but not the best way. The
Okay.
best way is to combine that with an imaginative technique. For instance, say if you were, it's springtime now, so a lot of people will be going to buy plants and probably peat moss and mulch for their garden. So, say if you wanted to remember a whole list of things you're going for, well, try and don't imagine an obvious thing like I'll plant the flowers, then I'll put the mulch on top. Try and make it something more imaginative than that, like something that couldn't happen in real life. For instance, say if you imagine that the okay the flowers all fall over and then become peat moss, and then and then the mulch goes on top of it, but then the mulch suddenly spring out and turn into flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Something that couldn't happen in real life, and you're
Mm-hmm.
likely to remember your shopping list more that way.
Mm.
When you do use some imagination. Now, I will say that in our school systems, unfortunately, kids as they grow up are often taught to not take their imagination seriously and just grow up only memorizing facts and
Mhm.
doing math and stuff. And well, that's all well and good. Like oh, well and good. I think we always need. It's helpful for all of us to maintain some imagination.
Mm.
Like I know, even when I had biology, I remember making up a story about there's two cycle shops in town.
Mm-hmm.
One's owned by the Krebses and one's owned by the Calvins because
Mm-hmm.
there's a Krebs cycle and a Calvin cycle in biology. And I made up similar stories for the steps of photosynthesis. The
Mm-hmm.
pretty pretty gal went to the Gap, which was a clothing store at the time, and to buy her husband some nice pants for when he competes in the PGA golf tournament because PGAL, PGAP, and and then PGA are all steps in photosynthesis.
Okay.
So that's how people can use their imaginations for school.
Yeah, and I guess there's a book that you have purpose you have written specifically for this to help
Well,
someone.
there was a book actually. It's only available on Kindle, but I'm thinking it might be useful to do a paperback version of it too, where improving your memory, and I divided it into three sections: a visual section, an auditory section, and a kinesthetic section,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody has one of those three senses that's more predominant with them,
Mm-hmm.
and one or two. And first there's a test where you read a story and then write down the details that you remember about it, and then see if you remembered more visual, more auditory, or more kinesthetic. And then you go to the chapters about your predominant learning style, and that to help with your memory, along with using techniques I just sampled.
Mm-hmm.
So I did write a book on that a few years ago.
That's good. And among your other books, which could be your favorite book that you always like referring people to?
Well, I would say that would really depend on the person's needs. Like
Okay.
in August of 23, I published Stress Free
Mm-hmm.
Success. It's all about, and I'm hoping to sell that to corporations in bulk because it's all about how to strive for success, but also do some stress management exercises so you don't get burned out or too stressed doing it, because there's people who work hard for success, but then they burn themselves out and neglect other things in their lives. And then there's people who are very relaxed and
Mm-hmm.
laid back, but they don't accomplish very much. So this is a book about combining it
Mm-hmm.
all. And I would say for those people, and for anyone with post traumatic stress or just had a lot of bad
Mm-hmm.
memories, I wrote a self help trilogy called Heal Your Memories. And it's Heal Your Memories, Change Your Life, which is my top
Mm-hmm.
selling book, probably since it's been out for 10 and a half years now. And then the second book is The Ultimate Guide to Healing Your Past. And the third one is Empower Yourself Through Your Memories. So, anyone who needs to get rid of the bad feelings from negative memories, I'd recommend that trilogy. And I came out with a book that was just published in January of
Mm-hmm.
this year called Happy
Happy
Every
every
Day.
day.
I would,
That's a good one.
Happy Every Day. And yeah, I would, for people who think that they can only be happy, say, when they're on a vacation or on weekends. It's a book about how to make your everyday life happy. And it includes such things as looking at things differently to be happy, giving to others so that, because some people are unhappy because they're too self
Mm-hmm.
absorbed. And then there's chapters on improving your relationships and improving your work life. And so it covers all the different aspects of
Mm.
life.
Wow, that's wonderful, wonderful. Now, a test on something that we just did before, and because I would love to hear the which date did I ask you before?
Oh, you asked me
Oh,
October 10th, 2018, and I said it was a
whoa.
Wednesday.
Wow, wow, wow. Aye. This is interesting. And yeah, I just wow. I even lost all the questions that I was to ask you. So I'm gonna definitely look for those books so that they can help me at some point. At some
There
point.
you
Now,
go.
how many interviews have you done so far? If you, I know you remember them. How many?
Well, I I joined a. I started really doing podcasts a lot almost a year ago. My first one was on Saturday, May 11th of last year, and I've been doing one or two a week ever
Mm-hmm.
since then. So it's getting the word out there on
Have
my
you
books.
maybe considered, or maybe you've done a TED Talk? Because this could be a good TED Talk topic.
I thought of that a few years ago, and now that you mention it, might be something to
Mm-hmm.
revisit. Doing a TED
That
talk,
would be good.
and yeah, that might be. Yeah, I'll have to look into that, Anthony. Thanks for the
Yeah.
idea.
And now let's come back to the more ways, because I know it's not only me who goes through these challenges. I know there is many other people who may be helped by the things, the knowledge that you have. Maybe those who are going through uh, some memory issues, like you mentioned, post-traumatic and things like that. Tell us a bit more how you work with the people that may be benefiting from your help, and how they can connect with you.
Well, okay, well, I've sometimes with clients, a lot of the heal your memories exercises are meditations, and I admit on the book I created some variations of NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and I give it credit, but I wrote my own
Mm-hmm.
versions of that. Like I sometimes I'll do a meditation where before you start, you pick both a good memory and a bad memory
Mm-hmm.
from the past. And then you vacillate back and forth in the meditation between the good memory and the bad memory, all the details, all the sights, the sounds, how your body felt, and if there was a scent or smell, and if you were tasting or eating or drinking anything. Then you switch back and forth, and eventually you do that 3 or 4 times, and eventually the sting from the bad memory just doesn't seem to be there anymore. It's like, oh, so what? It happened. So it doesn't influence you as much anymore or drag you
Mm-hmm.
down. And we go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, you also asked me about how can people connect with me? Well, I have my website that has recently been upgraded, Healy's
Okay.
Healing,
So. Mm-hmm.
and yeah. And if anyone wants to connect by email, I'll give it out. I have one of those old email addresses from since November 6, 2000. Since I publicized myself so much, that's why I have never changed my email
Okay.
address. It's HEALYS, then you repeat HEAL. Healy's Heal, then one, the number one, at MSN dot
Okay.
com.
Someone is gonna write that down. So and then they can reach you with that email.
Okay, good.
What's in the future for you? What are the, apart from now the idea that I was giving you, what other things are in future for you?
Well, I'd like to get at least 6 to 8 books out before the end of
How
this
many?
year. I'm working on my third. What's that? Six
Six
to
to
eight
eight
books
books.
by the end of
Okay.
this year, and they're all going to be short reads because I'm told that short reads are sort of the in thing right now because so many people are so busy that they don't have they don't have time to read anything long now. A lot of my old books are
Mm-hmm.
longer, like Stress Free Success, and my novel is over 300 pages. So that's when you have some leisure time, But and I think a lot of my books are because if you want to get the benefits and start working on your stuff right away, they make you dive right into it without being overwhelmed by too long of a
Mm-hmm.
book.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's true.
so I plan to do that, and then and then I'll probably retire in about 2 years when I'm 67. I'll be 65 next
Okay.
month. And I did the and so when I do, I mean, my wife used to say to me, "No, if you retire, all you would ever do is go swimming." Well, yeah, in the better weather, I would, but I would also I'd continue to see select clients for counseling and continue to coach. And I'd probably be on more
Hmm.
podcasts and do more of the things I do, more of the things I do now with more free time. I can plan them when I want.
Have you been out of the states on anything? I mean, like going for some events, some conferences, or things like that.
Well, I was well, I guess I'm not yet permitted to say what I was doing, but I was in Switzerland in September of
Okay.
2023, and I've been to yeah, I mean I've been to a lot of the Caribbean islands on vacations, as well as the Florida beaches, and my wife and I went to Hawaii in 2019 and for 10 days. So I've so I've been around and. But that's something else I'd like to do more of when I retire. Go to more conferences and maybe do more book signings in a lot of different places.
Hmm. And we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. You still have got you still
Well,
have got
thank
a lot
you.
of things to remember.
Oh yes,
So
that's one of the
have the
advantages.
experiences and remember those experiences.
Oh
Yeah, and
yeah.
I just pray that many more people would gain some insights from your books and your experiences as we keep moving along.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
so we really appreciate you coming to our show. And
And a pleasure to
just as
be
a
in.
reminder to those of you who are tuning in now, we've been hosting Frank Healy, and he will remember this day that he was with us, which
Oh yes,
it
I
happens
will.
to be a Good Friday,
Yeah,
2025. And I am sure
that's
the next
right.
time that I meet him on the street, maybe in the States, he will remember, hey, that's Anthony. I remember you.
Oh yes, I'd remember that
Wow,
you.
that's
Yeah.
that's wonderful, very wonderful. So, as a reminder to all of you who was watching, you can always hop on to healyshealing.com. Go and learn more about Frank, connect with him, get to find out about more of his books, and yeah, share with him your memories. Ask him to help you to forget those ones that you don't want to remember. Yeah, there are those I would want to forget myself also. And yeah, let's keep it positive, keep it good. This is all I can say. So
Yes.
maybe you can say something that you may want us to conclude with.
Well, I'll say that I think people in general can develop themselves a lot more than what they think. You know, like I mean, people who weren't that happy before can learn to be happy. People who maybe weren't as uh, didn't have as good a memory or weren't as smart as they thought, that can be developed. I really excited that since the 90s, there's been a lot of neuro research on neuroplasticity, where our brains, even in adulthood, our brains are more malleable or changeable in a good way than we thought used
Hmm.
to think. So I would expect anybody who wants to achieve something, believe you can and give it your all.
That's a good one for anybody who wants to achieve anything. Believe you can and give it your all.
Yes, that's
That's
right.
wonderful. Yeah, and I always tell people go ahead and achieve your dream. Now, this is on the opposite. Let me reverse this to show it. So go ahead
Oh,
and achieve your dream.
oh, your book. Okay.
That's my book. So it's in line with what you just said.
Okay.
Believe you can, and yeah, just go for it. Yeah,
Yeah. Yes,
yes.
go for
So
it.
go ahead and connect with Healy, Frank Healy, and yeah, let's have a wonderful future. So to everyone, have a wonderful Easter weekend and a beautiful future. Bye and bye, Frank.
Yes.